welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
Ian, my friend, welcome to the Swift Half. How are you?
I'm good, Alan, and it's almost like it was yesterday. Well, not quite yesterday, but yeah, been seeing you a lot recently.
Oh, it does seem like this. It just seems to be all at the minute. I'm just all I love this word, discombobulated, Ian. I learnt it. I learnt it quite a while ago and forgot all about it. And then at work at minute, we're using it quite a lot. So I'm loving the word discombobulated, and that's exactly how I feel at the moment.
That sounds like something from the Middle Ages. Was that like a punishment or a way to get evidence? They'll discombobulate you.
Hang, drawn, quarter, and discombobulate you.
Exactly, Alan. Exactly. Right. So, what are you drinking this week?
Well, I was at Tough Mudder the week, and being a true Yorkshireman, it's the week before payday. I'm skint, as always. I'm not really, but it's the week before payday. But I haven't been and got any beer today, so I got Tough Mudder Energy Sport Cherry because it was laying in my kit bag, which is the side of me.
Energy Sport Cherry.
Yeah, Tough Mudder. Have you got what it takes? It's what they were giving away at the end of Tough Mudder at the end of the race and that. So they were giving Brewdog Wingman away, weren't they? And then they were giving this energy away. It's actually quite nice. I guess it's like a Lucasade energy drink, yeah, whatever it is. Other energy drinks available, people.
Okay. Well, I am on a Carrick Glen vitamin water drink, courtesy of Lidl.
It sounds very posh, that. Not something you get from Lidl. It sounds like more like a cardo drink, that.
It's apple and elderflower with mate extract and vitamins, apparently. 7 essential vitamins or something like that. I saw it the other day. I picked it up. I'll be honest, I picked it up for a show. I had no intention of randomly getting it, but it looked interesting, so I thought I'd drink it.
I like that game. Getting something just for the show is absolutely classic here. I sometimes do that with beer. You know, if I'm going around like somewhere wonderful, I'll go, oh, that's good for show. That's good for show. I haven't done it for a while, though. I need to go back out and do it.
I need to do it more. I used to do it a lot with non-alcohol beer as well, and actual beer when I didn't need to be up so early on a Thursday to train. And that. Oh no, I broke the fourth wall, Alan.
Ian, I think everyone knows when we record this now, so there is nothing but breaking the wall.
You're right, but happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday, yeah. Hope you're all doing well this Friday.
Hope you are. People who weren't doing so well, Alan, was unfortunately our lads in Berlin. They didn't quite get the job done, did they?
No, a great football match. Loved it. I'm going to actually say, Ian, I actually think the better team on the night won. I think it was a close call. I think it was very, very close. One goal was about what was in it. I was hoping it was going to go to extra time. But no, I thought England played really, really well. I thought Spain just played just a little bit better than us. But yeah, you can't fault what's happened. And Gareth Southgate going to four semi-finals and finals in the last, 8 years, I think it is, something like that. He's done really, really well. You can't grumble.
He's done what we needed him to do. Obviously, we'd prefer a different style of attack as opposed to trying to just counter all the time. And he has brought us up from the doldrums. And honestly, Alan, it's easy to say this after the fact. Against that Spain team, I would have felt a little bit embarrassed had we managed to get them all the way to like penalties and then fluke to win. It just wouldn't have felt right with me. I'd still be happy, but do you know what I mean?
I do. Talking about the style of his football there, now this is not a football show, but he made us win. However you play, and if you look at managers prior to him, they played flair football, Terry Venables and that. They played that flair football. Let's go out, let's attack, let's do all that. And where did it get us? It got us nowhere, Ian. You know what I mean? It didn't get us to the finals. He's played a different style of football. He's got us to the finals. However, he gets there, and I'm sure when you talk to coaches who coach running, everyone trains differently. There isn't this a magic thing that makes someone an absolutely amazing runner. It's lots of different things, and a coach's job to get that out of it. Did he do the best with the team? Who knows? But he got us to the final. He did better than,
He
what is it, 32 other teams or something?
he did, and it is what it is. This isn't a football show, but he did bring up a interesting topic that I wanted to discuss, Alan. And it's kind of like a community topic. And you remember a few years ago there was this whole idea of be kind.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We was right at the front of that. We kicked people out of the Facebook group when they were being unkind to people.
Well, exactly. And I know social media is a interesting beast, but I was kind of disappointed. And I'm not gonna name names. And quite frankly, they probably won't listen to this in any event, or if they do, they'll be happy that it's not aimed at them. It probably isn't. But I was disappointed after the match that there were some people who were obviously waiting for the opportunity just to say, oh, well, England's lost, how terrible, and just tagging in people they know who were English and who were fans. And I get banter, I get all that, but it just came across as like mean for mean's sake. And if your life is so empty that the only joy you can get is waiting to the minute after a football game, where a team has actually overperformed. Well done to England for getting that. We should have lost versus Slovakia, let's be honest. But
Yeah, we should have.
if your life has that part of you that the only joy you can get is rubbing people's noses in it when someone else has failed, please get yourself a mud of mind. Please just look internally because there might be something missing there. I know, again, it may be banter, but you also may have hurt some people. I'll be honest, Alan. I came very close to blocking people, and I never block people. And it wasn't even targeted at me.
No. And it actually fetches me on to a bit of a point there, Ian, that you don't know what's happening in someone's life. And if you're going to be mean about something like that, you just don't know how it's going to affect them. I mean, today is the fourth year. As we record this, today's the fourth year that we lost Rob Stewart. Now, I don't know if you know Rob, but he was a keen OCR fan, massive OCR fan. And 4 years ago to the day, he took his own life. He had mental health problems that he couldn't live anymore. You don't know if you're being mean to people at what point it's going to push them over the edge. I'm not saying someone was mean to Rob and it pushed him over, but you don't know anyone who's feeling like that. And I've read a fact the other day that 50% of people who suffer with men who suffer with mental health are actually keen football fans. That's a massive stat, that.
And it doesn't surprise me because if you do have mental health issues, you do latch on to something to try and give your life meaning and live vicariously through someone's successes. Unfortunately, that also means you have to vicariously live through their failures as well.
I'm going to set a challenge to all our listeners, Ian. If you're listening to this right now, yeah, and you're not driving, yeah, so if you're driving, you can do it when you finish driving. But if you're walking down the street on public transport or listening to it in your house, I want you to pause it. I want you to go on social media, and I want you to be kind to someone on social media. Just be nice to someone. Send them a message. How you doing? Be nice, and hashtag it. Be kind.
That's a great idea, Alan. And you know what? When this comes out, me and you will have to do that as well.
I'm definitely going to do it on Friday. Hashtag be kind. Let's get it out there. Let's get the OCR world being kind. Being kind. Yeah.
You don't want to linger on it too long, but you're absolutely right about how it just can impact someone's psyche. And Alan, I'm not actually a big football fan. I like it. I watch it. I'm one of the 45 million football armchair managers that got rid of Southgate. But yeah, I'm not that big a fan. But even myself, I was feeling a little down on Sunday, and I shouldn't have. It's just the way your psyche works, and it's not actually just this. There's a famous picture or banner up at High Rocks events what's always bothered me.
Fun.
it says prove them all wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that.
And do you know why it bothers me?
Go on.
Because I think you shouldn't have to. You should be proving them all right. Everyone in your life should be building you up, not tearing you down.
Yeah. I think Paula has a saying, because as you know, Paula does mental health. She talks about radiators and drains, and you've got to have more radiators in your life who make you warm and feel good than drains who drain your energy and take it away from you. And you're right there. You should have people in your life, much more people in your life that you are having to prove right because they're building you up to do it.
Exactly, Alan. And we all will occasionally bitch and joke about people. It's sadly the way the world is, and I'm just as guilty sometimes of it as everyone else. I am trying to be better. I am trying not to bitch and gossip as much as I have perhaps in the past. But Alan, thank you for being mine and Jen's radiator.
Oh, I like that, Ian. I think we're all each other's radiator. This podcast is part of my radiator. And we're going to bring a guest on in a bit, Ian, and he's also part of my radiator as well. So, yeah, I like that.
Oh, do you want to open the door and let the radiator in?
Well, first, I've got a better segue than that because we're talking about being kind. Yeah. So I'm going to shout out to people who are kind. Last week, if you remember, B Wood did Tough Mudder Infinite, and we asked for the people who helped her. And these people were kind. So here we go. Michelle Carney, Laura Hudson, better known as the Mermaid, which we've had on the show. Debbie Crew, Craig Redmond, Peter Gascoigne, Samantha Lee, Rebecca Dabb, Keith Jones. I think it was his 101st Tough Mudder as well. Ben McIntyre, Martin Gemmell, a whole other people. Charlie Parvin was there helping her out and things like that. So we asked for them, and those are the people that helped her there. Now, she was also at Manchester, yeah, which is the next segue to bring our guest in, because I wanted to get Mr. Will Chung in to talk to us about Manchester. Will, my friend, how are you?
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. It feels like I'm a regular at this moment in time. I'm definitely a regular on the podcasts series at the moment. There's lots of bonus podcasts going out, isn't there? ACL games and everything. But it's nice to come and have a drink with you guys.
It's cool. You're right. There's a lot of podcasts going out with you at this moment in time. We've got special editions galore going out. You're making my work hard here. I got you on to make things easier, and you're just making it harder for me.
I'm just waiting for my my end of year overtime bonus to come through. So
I'm sure there will be a big percentage increase there for you, Will.
And not too many bloopers either. I know I'm not talking about bloopers or the podcast, but not as many bloopers recently. Just at the beginning, and the odd one in the middle, and some at the end. But yeah, not so many bloopers.
Oh gosh, a peek behind the curtain. What's funny, Will, is you do bloopers. I just go through my podcasts and think from time to time, I've gone off on a tangent there that doesn't add anything. I just ask Alan to remove it occasionally, don't I, Alan? Every time, every so often.
Ian records 2 hours of podcast now to get it down to one, Will.
Oh gosh.
Manchester, Will, before you talk about it, first of all, we know that this Bee went, and she went round. So did you see Bee on course while you was at Manchester?
I did, yes, I said hello. They was on course. Just finished Pyramid Scheme by the time I caught up with them.
She did Manchester with only 5 assistees. I'm going to call them assistees, which I think is amazing, because not only did they go round, they actually went up Mudderhorn. So they've got a 6th person go up Mudderhorn. So a big well done to Sam Gascoigne, Samantha Lee, Uncle Amer, Andy Weir, Michelle Carney, and then Peter Gascoigne came up to go up Mudderhorn. 6 people in a helper getting her over Mudderhorn. That's got to be probably the lowest number of people helping an adaptive athlete to get over Mudderhorn.
Yeah, I mean, just getting an adaptive athlete over the Mudderhorn with a massive group of people is some massive task. to do the 10K, to almost finish. Mudderhorn was one of the finishing obstacles. It wasn't towards the end, but with just 6 others to get her over, absolutely fantastic. And I think, part of this, I think, is because there's always Michelle around, and I think you mentioned Samantha Lee, Laura is sometimes around as well. I think they're getting the team that are getting used to doing this now, and just being able to herd and understand what people's jobs are, technically, either holding them up or pushing them up or whatever it is. So I think as a team, they are becoming a team, making things easier. But even then, when you've only got 5 or 6 people helping and adapting that athlete over Mudhorn is, massive kudos.
To get round 10K, I mean, we're talking about Mudhorn, but just to get round 10K at the farmyard, I literally ran 300 meters with B, and I was done for. That was it. 300 meters, I would have packed in there. I would have gone, see you, bye, ta-ra. I mean, we're talking 10K as well. Was it 10K?
It was. It was almost exactly 10K, as 10K as you can get in an OCR race. Better measurements than a certain Muddy Duck can do with 10K. So yeah, and it was almost perfect. 10K.
Like it. Tell us a bit about it, because I know Ian went in down to Manchester to meet you afterwards, but he was supposed to be on course for me and didn't.
He did promise to come and see us the next day in the morning. He said, "What time are you running? What time you're volunteering? I'll make sure you're there." And then, kind of midway through the morning, I got a message saying, "Oh yeah, I'm still in bed. I'll see you another time."
It was raining. It never rains in Manchester.
It always rains north of Watford here. So why does it never rain in Manchester?
So I'll be honest. Have you ever done this, Alan? On the Friday night, I got home not that late. Then Jen got home because she'd been out all day. And we just went down a YouTube wormhole and fell asleep probably about midnight or 1 a.m., something like that. Alan, have you ever done that where you just go down a wormhole or a rabbit hole and you find one thing and then it's, I want to know more about that, and you just keep going?
Oh, yeah, all the time. In a conversation, I can have conversations with Paula. Literally, I'm expecting a 20-minute conversation, and 4 hours later, we're still talking about it.
And that's how we made this podcast.
And that's how we made this podcast.
Sorry, we interrupted Will actually telling us about the OCR. The thing that people listen to the show for.
Well, before we go back down that hole, I do that with YouTube too. And at the moment, I have absolutely no interest in basketball. Okay, no interest in British basketball or the NBA. But at the moment, my YouTube feed is full of WNBA and Caitlin Clark and how well she's doing as a rookie. And I think I only watched one to go, oh, wow, she's doing really well. And now the whole feed right now, because I do keep watching them going, and there's other controversy. She's not in the USA team and all this kind of stuff. But she's the first rookie to ever do a triple-double. I had to look that up to find out what the hell that was. So yeah, YouTube and TikTok are great just to put you down tunnels. But yes, we are talking about OCR, not women's basketball, especially not women's American basketball.
Right. So I guess we should repeat the question, which is, where was the course?
Manchester is my favourite of speech quotes, air quotes, city courses. I think it's got so much more character than Finsbury Park, which may or may not come back, and people may have done Morden. There was also Battersea. There was also the one in Northampton that was at the stadium, which I missed. But Heaton Park is brilliant. It's 10K and they can't dig down, unfortunately. So you're not going to get the very big obstacles like Funky Monkey and Block Ness. But Mudderhorn was there, Electric Eel was there, Pyramid Scheme, Everest was there. So you get most of the big obstacles. What Bobby, the MC, was promising, that actually they fitted in as many obstacles as they can in the 10K than what you'd normally get on the 10-mile course, which is probably about true. It did feel like every few hundred meters you was coming up to another obstacle. So very obstacle dense for a Tough Mudder. And Heaton Park is beautiful. It's undulating. There's some really pretty parts. You feel like you're in a city at one point. You feel like you're in kind of a wooded trail at other points. So it's full of character, and it's actually probably for me above Southwest as well, which does not have any character at all. This is one at badminton. So yeah, it was brilliant. Apart from being in Manchester, where the weather was just all over the place both days. Actually, more overcast and crappy and raining on the Sunday. But Saturday was slightly better, but there was again just a bit of rain just to throw it in because it was Manchester. But no, I absolutely love Manchester. Yeah, and what I really like. I'm just going on now. First obstacle. What is it normally at a Tough Mudder or even at Spartan? What's usually the first obstacle?
It's the
You just
mud.
get walls quite early on.
Walls are an old kiss of mud. Nope, straight into hydrophobia, straight into getting people wet, full submersion. In you go, get wet. And I was in on the Sunday. I was in one of the later waves, so there was quite a few people. Actually, on the Saturday, I was in a kind of a mid-morning wave. I didn't want to get up too early, but just the joy of all these people doing Tough Mudder or an obstacle course for the first time, like kind of squealing and screaming because they had to get wet and they had to get full submersion. It was brilliant, and as you kind of get that with walls a little bit, or maybe you get the gym bros going straight over and gone, but this was a real leveler for people, and again it was just the squeals of delight. And kind of the laughs and the jokes that the people are having once they got in and under hydrophobia. It was brilliant. And actually, hydrophobia is not very much of a queue maker. So I think they're probably able to get through those big waves pretty quickly. Unlike Kiss of Mud, everyone's starting to crawl, or Wars where you're kind of backing people up. I think they got through hydrophobia pretty quickly. But it was just the joy and the happiness of people just squealing and shouting and just being excited, and you don't always get that, especially not in the early waves of Tough Mudder, because we're all legionnaires, we've done it loads of times, and oh, it's this one again or whatever. But to see so many new people to obstacle racing, to Tough Mudder, which you'll always get at Manchester and at the city courses, was absolute delight. I loved it, even just for the first obstacle, just to hear the excitement in people's voices and the screaming.
I've got to ask, Will, was hydrophobia, was it on a flat level? Because I know in the past in Manchester, they've been particularly evil and put it in a way that you go in shallow and it gets deeper as you go in.
No, absolutely level on one of the roads before you go up somewhere. That's very poor description, but level and very deep. So they definitely filled it right to the top of those pools, and people had to go under. There was no way of being able to push the buffer up or anything. You had to go in that water, and it was bloody cold on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, it was. Like you alluded to, Will, the Four Seasons is not a pizza topping around here. It's a weather forecast.
Absolutely. Honestly, I think it was a Saturday. I got rained on. It felt like it may have hailed, but the sun was shining at one point. Then it was overcast. Then it was rain. Then you're not wrong. And it is such a cliche, but it's so true.
I've never been to Manchester where it's never got wet. Did the event village just churn up again? Because it always does whenever I've been to Manchester.
No, and you know what? It wasn't as wet as last year, and last year was an absolute mud bath for those that were there, but just because of the rain. But it's where the village is kind of the park life part, if anyone knows Manchester and ever been there. So it's standing ground, and I think it's very used to the weather like that. And so through most of Saturday, it's not a muddy course. Heaton Park is not really muddy. There's a bit of man-made mud, but it's not muddy at all. And you're actually finishing with you have Arctic Enema, a couple of obstacles, and then cage crawl before you go to EST and into the village. So you finish pretty clean, in air quotes, without the mud. But it was only through late Saturday they started to get the hose pipe on EST. And then you started to see the finishes come through really muddy, because a lot of them were just then sliding along the floor of EST and just getting muddy. And there were some people just head to toe in mud. It's like, how the hell did you finish like that? And he said, oh yeah, it's Tough Mudder, mate, isn't it? You got to do it. You got to do it. And again, it's just that fun factor of people wanting to get muddy, because again, people who know me know that I absolutely hate the mud. But it was just, again, the joy on people's face. Got to do it, mate. It's Tough Mudder. Why not? That's what we're here for. And it's just brilliant. I loved it. And being on bag drop, being on finish line when you're volunteering, and seeing those smiles, seeing those faces is actually one of the best parts of being a volunteer.
I don't think anyone in Manchester talks like that at all. We all speak the Queen's.
The Queen's. It's the King's now. Introduce the King's language now, not the Queen's language.
We're 20 years behind. It's still the Queen's.
I like that. Just want to say, Will, your YouTube channel, I'm loving the 60-second clips that you're putting out there, and that.
Let me come back to that. So just one thing, that the cage crawl, absolutely evil. And talk about YouTube, I'm going to get it out on the YouTube clip. But it's the past couple of events, they filled it as tight to the top as you can possibly get it. And so, especially in Manchester, there were so many people taking the escape route, kind of pushing the fence up, standing up, sitting up, and not actually finishing cage crawl. So they have been particularly evil recently with that water level honestly being 2 or 3 inches from the top to the cage, where usually you've probably got a good half a foot, haven't you? A good 15-20 centimeters space between your face and the fence. But it's brilliant. It actually caught me out in Manchester as well.
Could that be because of the rain though? So they're filling it normal, but the rain that's dropping is filling it up. Because I know it was quite deep at Belvoir Castle, wasn't it? There was literally, I think, about 2 or 3 inches.
Absolutely, and it was the same level. So at Manchester, and again, I went on the Saturday. It was about a 10 o'clock wave, something like that. So it didn't have chance for the rain to go. So, but no, I like and loathe that at the same time, because I'm not fun. I don't like water so much, and it's caught me out. But it's fun to see other people also caught out. And it's not always about strength, is it? It's about kind of the fear factor and kind of technique and being as calm as possible. But I just wanted to say that because again, when you think city courses or it's going to be a little bit easier, it's only 10k. Some of the obstacles are still going to be those difficult obstacles wherever it's going to be put, and whether it's a 5, 10 or 15k course.
Definitely. So what's next up for you?
Thanks for the 60 seconds. I love doing those 60-second slots. It's a really quick way of doing it. However, it's weird. My YouTube, my Instagram doesn't like it. If you look at the views that I get for those, is minimal compared to actually the long form videos that I do. So I love doing them, and I'll always keep doing them because I think it's snapshot. But yeah, I don't know why obviously the algorithm, for whatever reason, does. And what's next for me? I've got a weekend off. I'm just going to be training, but it's Europe's Toughest Mudder in 2 weeks' time. That's the next big one for me, and I know big one for you, Alan.
Yeah, it is. And I was hoping you was going to say that, because that was going to lead us into a nice segue for our next topic, which is ETM. And yeah, it's my first big race of the year, to be honest. Going to try and beat last year's 7 laps. Trying to get 8 in. I'm running well. I'm convinced. I'm heads in the right space. Everything's looking good. And that's so. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We had the podcast out recently, which was quite good. But I've actually reached out to see who's going. Now, this is interesting, this. So I'm going to give a few fun runners first. So we've got Craig Turner, Mike Mussard. I know you're going, Will. We have got Sam Gascoigne, Kevin Calder, Matt Rigby, B Woods going, Craig Redmond, Dan Watson. That's just at ETM that have come back and just let me know quite quickly. Got a few people as well going to Yorkshire. I know Dan Lister's heading to Yorkshire, into Kimberley Sim, Martin Gemmell and friends like that. I've got lots of friends going. But I think this year ETM is going to be one of the best races for men that we have had in quite a few years. And do you want to know why?
Alan, are you going for it? Is the winner of Wolf Run going to get a second scalp?
No, yeah, not me. But we not only have we got Dasa Scanella going and Russell Walsh, yeah, which I know Will's alluded to at OCR Games, because they're both going to OCR Games. But get this, I got a message from Sean Merriweather, and he is coming back at ETM this year. So we have got three real big names racing.
It's going to go down. Absolutely going to go down. Now, I want to feign the surprise, but I can't because I'm actually pitting in with Sean. Mike Massad is going to be pit crew for me, so I knew he was going. But this is this, and I can't get my words out because I'm so excited, Alan. But me and you should be commentating on this. If any race we should be commentating on, it's going to be this one, and yet we're out there on board. Maybe we'll take our microphones out on course and get on course interviews. But Russell and Das have proved their endurance. Das has done Infinity at Saudi Arabia. Russell gone out to do Infinity as well at Scotland. But neither of them, I don't believe, have done ETM overnight. And so Sean, I think we don't quite know how his training's been, but he's got the experience of overnight running. And so this is why it's so interesting to me that we've got the experienced guy who has coming back from obstacle racing, and then we've got, especially Das, is getting into endurance running. Let's be totally honest, and endurance running of Tough Mudder. And then we've got Russell, who's just absolute monster. And so there's just, you can't necessarily just, as the guys on Accountability Corner, give them attribute points and get them level. I think they've got their different attribute points at different points, and it's just going to be so interesting. I'm so privileged to be out there and hopefully see what's going on as well whilst I'm plodding along and doing my thing. But it's going to go down. I'm just so excited. I'm lost for words.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
I mean, seeing Russell and Dassos run at the farmyard and after 23 hours, then running a 17-minute 5K, that tells you exactly what their ability is. After 23 hours, 130 kilometers, they go and run, a 5K of that caliber. They've got it. They've got it in the bag. But you're right. I'm not convinced if they've got it in the bag against Sean, because both of them are doing LCR games as well this week, aren't they? And that's going to take something out of them. That's going to take a little bit out of them.
Yeah, and I think for Das especially, I don't think he's done an obstacle overnight, so he's not experienced the cold. And you've seen him. He is ripped, absolutely ripped. Therefore, no body fat, nothing to keep him warm. So he's got to keep going to try and keep that body warmth going. And so, if anything, that's going to be his downfall, just because he doesn't have that experience. But in terms of his strength, his endurance, his running, no doubt at all. But that's where I think Sean might then have it over Das, where he knows how to run cold. He knows how to, he's adapted. He's done these so many times that he doesn't need to think about it yet. I've been messaging Das and said, this, remember to take this, and all the things for as you would for a newbie. So I think that's the joker, I think, that Sean has over both Russell and Das in terms of his experience of overnight obstacle running.
Yeah, we should probably clarify that obviously Dassos and Russell did do Farmyard Jam, but I think what Will's alluding to is overnight Tough Mudders are different because you get cold, you get muddy. Alan, you were quite kind to the obstacle runners in Farmyard Jam because it's more about 24 hours than here's Arctic Enema, enjoy, and oh, by the way, you don't want to go electroshock therapy, take your shoes off, here's a Lego walk. They don't have that kind of experience, which I think what Will's alluding to.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you've got, as you say, Arctic Enema, there'll be block nests at some point. If you're getting cold and tired, these guys won't. You get cold and tired, you're going to be falling off Funky Monkey into the water. And Alan and Ian, how muddy Mud Mile gets at Yorkshire. And so that mud itself, as you're going in and out of the water, is going to be sticking to you and clinging to you. So you're going to get wet and cold there as well. So yeah, as in overnight running, I know they've got it. Overnight obstacle running with the water and the cold and the wet, that's something that Sean definitely has experience over those two guys.
Definitely. And bear in mind, I think, and Sean's got an extra week's recovery because this last weekend he went and did Xterra Snowdon Trail Marathon and won that. So now he's in recovery now for next week, for ETM. So he's got a week's recovery from a marathon. We're talking about
Mountain
Russell,
marathon, Alan.
yeah,
Mountain marathon.
Mountain marathon.
Oh
the
my
Trail
God.
Mountain Marathon. Let's get it right. I just said Snowdon. I thought everyone that gave the clue away. All right.
No, I'm just pointing out that I think if you and I did a mountain marathon, we'd need a couple more, need more than a couple of weeks to then try and take on your stuff as winner.
Yeah, I mean, Sean's got it in the bag. I hope he just stays injury free and makes it through it, because for me, he is the man to beat it. He is the man to beat. But and I say that the reason why I say this is because we saw Jack Carpenter and Luke De Benedictus do it 3 years ago as a pair, and they still didn't beat Sean as a solo. That shows you the caliber that he's got at ETM. He's right up there. And nothing, not taking anything away from Russell and Dassos, but they've got to be right at the top of their game to challenge him.
And I think, I guess the only other thing that I would say is Sean has the experience of doing Yorkshire as well, and knows the ground. You and I know the ground, and I've said, if it's going to be a particular route, I'm not going for laps because it's not going to be so much fun for me, and we'll see what the route is before I decide what exactly I want to do. But Sean is so used to knowing that maybe there's the hill going to be in, there's going to be that camber, maybe there's that really nice long downhill down that road if we do go up the hill. There's some nice flat bits, there's some undulating bits, there's bits through the forest. And I think Sean will definitely have that experience in his head and kind of have a better clue and understanding what's coming next. And maybe even, I don't know, when you're that good as those guys are, they might have 3 different pairs of shoes, and so Sean and Das and Russell might not know which pair of shoes to take because weather's a bit changeable, whatever. Sean will know exactly which pair of shoes and kind of just have that little bit of edge over those 2 guys. So experience is definitely going to be playing into Sean's favour at ETM.
What do we know? Who's in the pits with Dassos and Russ? Because I know they're going to pit together, but is there someone there? Because that could actually, I don't know if running together or not running together is going to help them, because if you've got someone running with you, when you've been out there, it's late at night, it's in the middle of the night. I know Sean's used to running on his own, yeah, but if you've got someone there that you can help, that little 2 minutes just helping each other getting over a wall. Not that these guys need it, but later on when they've got a few miles in, it's like easy, just get a little help, save a little bit of energy here, save a little bit of energy there. It could work in the favour to do it together. I'm not sure whether they are or not.
Absolutely. We all know that things like Block Ness and the walls, we can get over them solo. But if you have someone to hand over and kind of just push you over, and then you're at the top and you pull them, and as you're going down on Block Ness, that saves lots of energy. And if you're doing that, you was talking about doing 7 or 8 laps, they're going to be doing at least 10 laps. And so later on in lap 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it's going to be, that's just going to save that little bit of energy. So if they run together, as long as they've both got a similar pace, it might work. It might work for maybe the 3 of them work together for the first 8 hours, and then the last 4 hours, or even the last lap, just like at Farmyard Jam. Maybe that's when they really go for it and break ranks. But in answer to your question, I believe fellow Who's Hot presenter will be at ETM. Becky Neal will be. I don't know whether she's going to be pitting, but she's definitely going to be there. So I assume she's going to be crewing there. And as we've mentioned, Mike is going to be crewing for Sean. And Mike is, again, very well versed in being great pit crew. That's why he's doing a bit of testing again for ETM for us, so we can go to WTM. But he's done this so much that he knows exactly what to do. So actually having a good pit crew would make a big difference too.
Fantastic. And what about the women? We haven't heard nothing about the women. We know Lou Ferryman's going. It's the only big runner that I know that's going.
I don't know of any names at this moment in time. I think Jackie Buff is going. Leanne, of course, that was on the podcast. She'll be going. Sam Gascoigne, you already mentioned. So Sam Gascoigne is going to World's Toughest Mudder with me. She's got a number in her head. I won't jinx it and not say what that number is. I also know Jackie's got a particular number in their head as well. So possibly not quite towards the top, but it's always great to see people with particular numbers and targets in their head and kind of aiming for something bigger. So I don't know of any big names yet. Yeah, never know. Jess might come along for the ride for a change, out of the triathlon suit and into a swim run suit. I've not seen her on Tough Mudder for a long time, but it would be good to see what other names will be going. I think Lou again. She's going for World's Toughest Mudder, isn't she? So it's again, it's a great test for her to work out kind of nutrition, how cold she's going to get, what equipment she's going to have, and possibly she's not really aiming for mileage per se, but it's a great time to experiment in terms of exactly what she would need for World's Toughest Mudder, which is a race.
Definitely. Just let you know, Jess isn't going. I've already spoke to Jess. Jess is heavily deep in training for the Ironman World Championships that she's
I thought that
very
would
much. Yeah,
I thought that would be the case. It wishful thinking more than anything else, isn't it? Yeah.
Just quickly going back to the men, Thomas Brzezinski is going as well. So from Squadron 303, and he is a great endurance runner. He's probably one of the better ones that's out there. His downside is he tends to go out very, very fast. So yeah,
he went out. What about the Danish guy that came second at World's Toughest Mudder and he won Europe's Toughest Mudder? Was it last year or the year before? I'm thinking Michael or something. But he if you remember, he was at World's Toughest Mudder, and he took a break. He was in the pit for a couple of hours, wasn't he? And everyone's thinking, what's wrong with him? And then he went out and caught up third place, and I think he took second place in the end.
Oh yes. Oh, what's his? That's going to get me. I don't know the name. Yeah,
Danish guy, isn't he? Hopefully, he's coming back as well. Wouldn't that be great? That at least a 4 or 5 horse race in this again. Maybe Ian, if you're not running, maybe you should be commentating it overnight instead.
You can get us some video. Let's see what we can do. Of saying that, it is the intern's birthday weekend, so I might not know what Zoom is around that time of day, so we'll see. Have we got anything else, Tough Mudder, Europe's Toughest related, Alan, that we need to get through?
No, I think we're all right. And I know Wills wants to go because he's on a gym session tonight. He's told us already. He's off to the gym. He's all ready in his 361 gear and looking
tonight. It's Friday morning. It's Friday morning. It's not tonight.
You're sorry, Friday morning. This morning. Will, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you on again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. And Ian, sorry for making you guys run long. That's all my fault. But thanks, guys. I will speak to you soon.
Cheers, Will. Oh, it's good having it. Don't you know his business? Don't you know his business, Will?
It really does. And listener, if you enjoyed that last 20 minutes or so, make sure you check out Who's Hot, because that is the kind of analysis you get. I dare say it's made me and Alan a little bit lazy when it comes to the sports side of OCR, because we know we've got Chris, we've got Becky, and we've got Will just doing such a great job over there that we don't need to keep track anymore.
I actually listen to their podcast to find out what's going off, Ian, because he's much better than doing my own research.
Absolutely. And I think congratulations in order to Will, because unless I'm mistaken, that would have been the 3rd time he's been on the podcast this week, which may be a new record.
Yeah. It's been more than me and you have in 1 week.
Exactly. If you think about the whole network, so well done to Will. And I'll have to go back and check. I can't recall me and you ever being 3 times in a week. I honestly, I just can't remember it. Usually it would be you with an interview, me with a fitness racing, and then the Swift Half, and that'll be jobs to good un.
Yeah, unless we put a special out, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, shall we move on to some other news?
Yeah, let's move on. Shall I cover off the fitness racing stuff, and then we can circle back some running ones?
Fire away.
Okay, this weekend we've got 3 fitness races that I'm aware of, and there might even be more, Alan. People are now sending me races after the event that I had no clue about. So that's how busy the fitness racing world's getting. It's becoming like OCR in 2014, 2015.
Growing so fast. It's growing so fast. And there's people jumping on it left, right, and centre.
It absolutely is. We have the OCR games, which you alluded to. I know that is a hybrid OCR and fitness event, but yeah, can't wait to see how that goes on Sunday. We've also got Nuclear Fit going on with our good friends down in Essex, which has become quite an established brand in its own right now, Alan, hasn't it? Quite a few people, even outside the nuclear family, are going down doing that.
Definitely, definitely. It's a great race. It's I know they're putting this on separate to what a normal race is, but they sometimes put it on as well when they've got the nuclear OCR on, and I make a big weekend of it. Yeah, it's fantastic. And the event itself, it's just a great event.
Is they know what they're doing. Anyone would think that they do events for a living.
You would, wouldn't you? And they weren't really, and James wasn't a farmer.
So they do that, and in short, the listener, check out Nuclear Wild Forest as well for any of your events needs, particularly if you've got a group of kids or a hen party or a corporate event, Alan.
Yes, yeah, absolutely amazing. And Nuclear Wild Forest have got one of the best runners in the business at the moment in time running for them, but we'll come to that in a second when we get the results
We
out.
we will in a second. The final fitness race that's going on this week in the UK is we have Strive, which is down at Forders Gym. This is a team-based event, teams of 6. I'm fairly sure it's sold out, Alan. I think we've got 40 teams there. This is an interesting type event in that they have 3 separate events, so almost a little bit CrossFitty. So you have the engine, which is mainly the ergs. I can't remember the name of the next one, but it's mainly functional fitness exercises. And then you have Sports Day, which is a straight relay race. So it's a nice blend of speed and strength. But then, and this is what I love about this event compared to, say, a CrossFit event, at the end, they get, I want to say, the 6 best scores for each gender specific team. So you've got your women, you've got your male, and you've got your mixed team.
Yeah.
And they put them in a race at the end. So not a relay race, but some kind of finisher. So you get an eventual winner.
Oh, wow. That's pretty
So
cool.
it is. So as we know, I like CrossFitty type things, but the drawback to CrossFitty type things is one person can just run away with it, score all the points in the early rounds, and they never get caught. Whereas this, providing you get in that top 6 or top 5 as a team, you've always got a chance. And I love that. And you know how much I love races generally.
Yes. I mean, it's this. I mean, this sounds really good that you don't have to be the best of all. You've got to be good at something to get to the final. You know what I mean? I like it, and I like the whole idea of it.
No, exactly. And the good news is there's no penalty kicks at the end. I don't think.
No penalty kicks for that.
Yeah. But if they do it the same way,
penalty wall balls.
penalty wall. If they do it the way they've done it in the past, they do it as a kind of last man standing thing. So they have workout stations and then a run, and you knock out a team each time, which I know you're a fan of that format as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like that. Last man standing style, or last
And
person standing.
Alan, subject to other things in my life, I may get down there to Strive. It's looking likely at the moment. And if I do, I'll probably pop a live feed of the finals on our Instagram, listeners. So look out for that. I don't know what time. It's going to be in the afternoon, probably sometime between 3 and 4 p.m. But keep an eye on the Instagram and we'll do our best to bring you coverage. Subject, of course, Alan, to internet.
Subject to internet, and don't forget that'll be fitness racing Instagram, not UKOCR Instagram. People.
Yes, at uk.hxr. So have a look at it. And Alan, I think that's fitness racing news done. There's something happening in America. We've got the Deca Ultra, but I'm sure we talked about that last week or in the episode that didn't come up. I have no idea when we talked about it, but we've had a conversation about Deca Ultra. So we'll chat about it next week and talk about what went on at the Ultra, because there's some big names going, just like there's big names going at ETM. So, Alan, what about other news? What else you got on the docket?
Well, I've got two bits of news that I want to talk about. But first of all, let's go with the fifth race in the UK OCR series down at Rude Rampage this last week. The feedback, Ian, has been phenomenal. I have never seen so many of the top racers go onto Instagram and comment about a race. You know, no matter what position they've come, they've all said that the race was like real top quality. So massive, massive shout out to DB Max Sports Timing Events putting that on. But results, women first. First place, Federica De Carrier. Second place, Ellie Brimicum.
Wow.
Yes. Third place, Shyla Dehaney. So a bit of a shock there after first, which was great news. Men's race, Daniel Titcombe took the title, running really, really well down at the moment. Ran well last year, keeping that form going. Jason Brunnock, second place. Well done to Jason. And third, one of the hosts of one of our podcasts, Finlay Greenleaf.
Oh, well done, Finlay. Well done. I love seeing when the younger athlete, and they're not that young now, but when they do well against people who are maybe a decade or so older than them.
Definitely. And it's these young athletes, if they continue to train hard, they will reap the benefits. You know, I've been reading a lot of things about books recently about athletes, how they gave up so much when they were younger, you know, friends partying, you know, boyfriends, girlfriends, things like that. They gave all of that up to train. They then went on to later in life. They experienced it all later in life, but they learnt so much back then that their sports career took off. Small sacrifices at the beginning lead to great rewards at the end.
Alan, when I was younger, I didn't worry about parties or girlfriends either, but does it have to be your choice?
Yeah, it can be your choice, mate.
All right. So if it's involuntary, you've no chance. Oh, well.
Yeah. But anyway, better news. Courtney Dauwalter, less than 4 weeks after winning Hard Rock, 4 weeks after winning Western States, then goes and wins Hard Rock 100-mile endurance race with a record time. Absolutely amazing. And on the back of that, Ludwig Pomerant, who I think he won UTBM about 4 years ago, broke the men's record as well, a Hard Rock, which was being held by Killian Jornet for quite a few years. So big shout out to them too. Courtney's on track for a treble, Ian. If she's going to UTMB, she's trained well for UTMB. She's going to go to UTMB. That could be the first time a treble's been done, I believe.
Is that first time a treble's been done by a female athlete or any athlete?
Killian might have done it. I'm not certain. I think Killian might have done it for the men. But this is the first, I think, from female athlete, first time in a year it's going to be done. I'm not saying that someone's won all three before in different years, but it'd be first time that any female athlete, from my understanding, I've had a quick look through all the stats that would do it. So I did some research on that bit as well, Ian. There you go. I did a bit of research today.
Did Who's Hot cover it?
No, Newshot didn't cover that bit, no.
You did actual research. Speaking of female athletes, Alan, have you seen what's happening in respect of the badminton Spartan event?
I have. I mean, this is quite good. I mean, this is absolutely amazing what Spartan are doing. Giving away free tickets for females to go and run.
Yeah, they've agreed to give 53 sprints, so 5K distance tickets for their event in Badminton, Gloucestershire on the 11th of August for women to come get involved in OCR. And they won't be alone because they'll have the other amazing women who get their tickets, and the female Spartan ambassadors and pro team will be right by your side to help you conquer it. That's such a great thing for Spartan to do. Thanks to Dawn Jollies. I don't think she's the only one to share it, but I saw it off Dawn's Facebook. So thanks, Dawn, for publicising this. And it's just such a great thing. And bearing in mind that a lot of these ambassadors and pro team will have probably ran that weekend already, and then they're going out again, helping spread the word of OCR to some fab female athletes.
No, it's amazing. And it's the next race in the UK OCR series. It's race 6 in the UK OCR series, race 7, Body Hub the Beast, race 8, Tough Mudder. So I think it's great that they're doing it. Hopefully we can get some women who've never done OCR, or even women who have done OCR, going down and doing it and competing and hopefully enjoying it and bringing more and more people in. It's the future, in. I do giving free tickets away. I've always seemed to do it for overload and things like that for certain charities. When we've hit a certain number, we're breaking even. I'll give a few free tickets away. It is the right thing to fetch people into the sport.
It absolutely is, Alan, and well done to everyone behind that. A couple more things in the pub that I wanted to mention, if that's okay, Alan.
Go on.
Shout out to Martin Gemmell again. He phoned that TV show we were going on about last week in the pub. The Tough Mudder one with the guy who made himself a medal.
Yes.
It was called Modern Times Weekend Warriors. So Modern Times, I think, was just something that they did a lot of back there. I think it was, I can't think of any other documentaries, but it was like a documentary series.
Okay, cool.
And it was Modern Times Weekend Warriors. And he hasn't found a video for it, but he has found a review in The Guardian. And do you want to know what was a bit upsetting about this?
Go on. I haven't read it, so I haven't read the review. What did it say on the review?
Well, it said published Wednesday, the 3rd of June, 2015.
Oh, wow. That's years ago.
That's 9 years ago as we're recording this.
Wow. That's like ancient. That's not long after we first started doing this. Well, I first started doing OCR, I mean UK OCR.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? How, well, I guess the days are long, but the years are short.
Does it say what his name was? Does it say what his name was?
Yeah, let's just scroll down a second and have a look at this. Here we go, Alan. I'll just read it out. Sean, a personal trainer who left the army after his hair started falling out from stress, was in it to win. I'm hungry, he said. Proper itching. Those were meant to be taken as symptoms of his determination and not just symptoms. Sean was facing two problems in his quest for victory. First, there was a guy called Connor who was better than him. Second, it really isn't a race and there's no prize for coming first. The extent to which Sean missed this key point can be gauged by the fact that he went off to buy a prize to award himself when he won. He had a little trouble finding the appropriate medal for the winner of a race that isn't meant to be a race. It all depends how much you want to spend, said the man at the medal shop. This is just bringing so much memories, and it's quite interesting. The review itself is half mocking, half informative, if that makes sense. And we probably should point out that they're not using surnames here, but I'm fairly sure the Connor they're referring to is not Connor Hancock. I think it's another Connor who used to be in the sport.
And we know it's not Sean Merriweather either, so we don't want to get confused up, guys. We know it's not them too.
No, it's not them, but yeah, he said the only cipher in the film was Connor, extremely fit and seemingly untroubled, who beat Sean to win his seventh Tough Mudder non-race. Sean gave him the medal he had bought for himself, a surprisingly touching moment.
Oh, it was a good touching moment. I do remember seeing it and thinking it was a good touching moment, but it was a medal that you have to buy yourself is not great.
It's not, but you can now get your own. All you got to do is go and do a Tough Mudder. Or if you are a female who's never done an OCR, take advantage of what we've just been talking about. Go and get one of them 50 free tickets. Do a Spartan sprint. You get a Spartan medal and the first part of your trifecta.
I like it. Can I just talk about photos for a minute and the most expensive race photo I've ever found?
I just clarify, these are race photos and not you dropping the camera at Overlord.
No, these are race photos, Ian. It was in the news this week. Sarah Morris, aged 49, had her photo taken, yes, and it has cost her £20,000. So it was in a marathon and it's cost her £20,000. Do you want to know why it's cost her £20,000?
I know exactly why.
Go on, give me your answer, because this is going to be so funny. I can't wait for this answer.
I am presumably guessing she bought the Sportograph season pass that gives you any photos from any 5 Sportograph events.
No. But that's a good answer. That's a very, very good answer.
Okay, Alan, if it wasn't the Sportograph season pass, what was it?
So Sarah Morris, experienced runner, runs for Stone Master Marathoners. In between October 20th, 2020 and April 25th, 2023, she took part in 73 races, including marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks, all of these, round the Stoke area and that. However, she got a free picture at one of these marathons, and she decided it was her running along in the marathon and waving at the camera. She happened to put it on her Facebook page. and putting this picture on her Facebook page has cost her £20,528 and 83p.
Gosh, Facebook's getting super expensive nowadays. What are they doing over there?
Well, Ian, that's the amount of money she's got to pay back to DWP because during these years, yeah, she was claiming PIP. She told PIP she couldn't walk for more than 1 metre. She's done 73 races, and this picture is what caught her out.
Oh,
Lesson there
gosh.
to be learned, people. If you're going to put a picture up, please don't be doing silly things like trying to fiddle the government.
Absolutely. I think I read this, and I think there are arguments that she has good days and bad days, and we don't know the actual story behind the headline, but I think it is a good lesson for us all to learn, and it doesn't just apply for pips. If you happen to be in a car accident and you may or may not be encouraged by a solicitor to overstate how injured you are, for the love of God, retire from OCR for a bit.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're taking this from transcripts from the court. You know, this is I'm reporting the datas as it's been given to the court and what she's been charged with. I'm not making any of this up. You can go on to it's on metro.co.uk if you want to go and have a look. So I'm giving the facts. We're not making anything up. We don't know her story. You're right, Ian. She has turned around and said that when she filled the form in, it was on a worse day that she filled the form in. But yeah, the judges said for this amount of time you weren't being honest, and therefore she's got to pay it back. That's a lot of money to pay back in.
It is, and I've actually no idea how she's going to pay it back unless she sets up her own photograph and starts taking pictures
Paid it back within 6 months.
within 6 months. Easily, easily. I don't want to end on that story, so can we give a shout out to Kelly Spalding, who put on the pub another marathon related story?
Give us the other marathon related story, Ian.
Did you not see this? A caterpillar, a real caterpillar, a caterpillar made of runners, did a marathon sub 3 hours.
No, how many runners?
I'm not completely sure. I count one, two, three, four. There's 5 in this picture. 5 runners all running together to 57:30.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Don't Rat Race do a Viking ship or something like that for some marathon? Didn't they do a marathon with a Viking ship? Rat Race organised something like that.
They did, and I was always tempted by it. And as often happens, you think, oh, I'll enter that next year, and then next year never comes because they stopped doing it.
Yeah, I think it was pre-COVID. Didn't they have something like 100 runners all in a man-made Viking ship? It wasn't like proper wood and everything else. It was lightweight tubing and paper mache, as they call it, or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, it was a great spectacle. And you're right, I don't think it was an event per se. Was it? They were doing it to raise awareness of
Yeah.
an event.
Something like that.
But there is, again, another lesson there, listener, that if you see something and you think, oh, I'll do it next year, do it this year because next year might not come.
Too right, Ian. Too right.
Right.
And on that, as in next year might not come, next week's podcast will definitely come.
Absolutely will. And this week's will, because Alan does have the necessary 2Ps to get in the computer this time. What I will say, Alan, is Will has obviously he's working hard at the gym because the first thing he did when he left was he then went away and researched the name of that athlete he was talking about. It's Mikhail Schott, I want to say, or Scott. SCHJOTT. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on as well. And Alan, any more notes?
No, I think we've done it, and we're actually through every one of them in, well, not quite record time.
No, not record time because we got a pesky who's hot on and it happens. Right, and on that, listener, I'm going to say it's goodbye from me.
Listeners, it's a goodbye from me. And remember, if you've not already done it, be kind. See you later. Bye.